Warning, this is heresy. Just watching the video may get you in trouble with the relativity and quantum gods. When the Hiroshima atomic bomb hit the headlines in 1945, there were all kinds of explanations of the nuclear phenomena. There were mousetrap analogies, mysterious binding forces, and all sorts of ideas. Even though I was only 15, none of the explanations sounded very reasonable to me. 50 years later, the explanations got much more complex and irrational, but still did not sound reasonable. Since the Stone Age, magical explanations have given way to logical, self-consistent theories. Nuclear phenomena should also have reasonable explanations. This is an effort to find one. The redshift of light. The mechanism that causes the redshift and blueshift of light is simply the change in kinetic energy of an electron as it jumps from one shell to another. The motion of the atom affects the amount of energy required to make the jump because the kinetic energy is related to the square of the velocity. That determines the redshift. For instance, two bowling balls with one traveling at a velocity of 2 and the other at a velocity of 3 have a difference of kinetic energy of 5. If the velocities are 8 and 9, the energy distance is 17. The redshift of light can be calculated from the movement of electrons in a moving atom. The kinetic energy change of the orbiting electrons in a moving atom is responsible for the redshift of light. The wavelength can be calculated from classical rules. That means the velocity of stars and galaxies can be related to the movement of orbiting electrons. When a photon leaves the atom in the opposite direction from the motion of the atom, it is redshifted because the energy difference between the electrons in the two shells is less than when the atom is not moving. For blue shifting, the energy requirement is greater for photons leaving in the same direction as the atom's motion. This is a comparison of the standard redshift velocities to the velocities calculated from electron motion of an electron in a hydrogen atom jumping from shell 3 to shell 2. The color of the photon would be red. The first column is the velocity of the hydrogen atom. The second and third columns are the velocities of the electrons in the shells at the time of release of the photon. The velocities are in meters per second. The sixth column is the wavelength calculated from electron motion. The fourth column is the velocity using the standard calculation of velocity from wavelength. The results are similar. At lower velocities, the agreement is very close. At higher velocities, there is some divergence. That could imply that the distances from the standard calculation are overstating the distance, or that the limit of the speed of light has to be taken into account. These are concepts from Miller's model of matter. Visit millersmodelofmatter.com for the rest of the theory. You can send comments and rants to millersmodelofmatter@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.